We gather together today with thankful hearts and to celebrate a man whose life's work touched so many of us. We are thankful for a game, a sport, a company, and an industry that changed the fabric of our landscape, both here in the United States and all over the world. We are thankful for a man who stood at the helm and tried to navigate this ship through not only uncharted waters, but on a ship he had to build and create the parts for as he went along. My name is Deborah Dion Kriske, and I was the first woman invited to play this game in the spring of 1983, which was happening about 30 minutes from my restaurant in New Hampshire. I started playing every weekend and thought I had found my sport. I love the outdoors and I love capture the flag, and I was single and the only woman playing with 60 men, so I said I found my sport. But you know the saying, paintball men, where the odds are good, but the goods are odd. Then Gurns hired me to become the PR director for this fledgling company, the National Survival Game. And then the real fun began. I was privileged to be a part of the working crew on this vessel, along with just a handful of others, as we worked tirelessly to put out fires, to fix, to envision, to build a dealer network, to create a tournament structure with rules, and to work every day trying to build the best foundation we could to support the dealers out on the front lines. A lesser man would have folded when we were told we could not use the shop goggles to send out with our guns. Under threat of a lawsuit, we had to come up with alternatives. This was also at a time when chronographs weren't even around, so no one knew the velocity of the nil-spot markers. One funny story now that wasn't funny then, Gurns sent me down to handle media at a new field down in Savannah. And of course I played. When I got back Monday morning, I had a big old black and blue mark on my upper thigh, and I walked into his office and I said, "Look at this, look at this," because it was this big around. And I said, "We are a sick game and this is a sick company." Well, I could hear him laughing 15 minutes later all the way back in my office. He was still laughing. A lesser man would have folded under the weight of using paintballs filled with indelible ink. We were turning woods into art galleries, and that was not our intention. A lesser man would have folded under the weight of having to deal with the Nelson Paint Company, who at the time, although loved getting all those archived guns off their shelves, didn't appreciate how they were being used. And they were dragging their feet on developing a new paintball that would be water-soluble. Gurns had multiple meetings with multiple entities and finally got a water-soluble paintball to the marketplace, which then forced Nelson and other encapsulators to get on board. A lesser man would have folded when we had to run without insurance as a company, and worse, our dealers wouldn't be insured either. This was the Wild West, and you had to be a risk taker or you wouldn't survive. Dealers insulated themselves as best they could, and they ran. It was no less than 3 months before we were able to get coverage, a very scary 3 months. And now the lawsuits were building up. Every time an idiot would take off his goggles and get hit in the eye, the lawyers would come back to our company. We were playing a game on 20 acres in the woods, shooting projectiles at each other that were traveling at speeds of 450 feet per second with toxic paint. Lawsuits became a part of our office landscape. A lesser man would have folded when, after finally bringing the Splatmaster to the marketplace, one of the first guns specifically designed for this game, we found out it had so many inherent problems that you needed 2 or 3 guns for every one if you were going to run a paintball field with them. When we shipped out the first production to fields that they had been waiting weeks for, and they were having grand openings that weekend, well, let's just say our phones blew up Monday morning. We had an emergency meeting, and all staff was told to handle calls and what we could do as a company to help the customers. To say it was a nightmare PR problem would be a gross understatement. A lesser man would have folded when at the first National Survival Game Championships, which was already promoted and hosed up before they even hired me, I got People magazine on location. Guns were still not chronographed. We had indelible ink. Games were an hour long, and we limited paint to 4 tubes of 15 balls per game. When they carried a player off the field on a stretcher who was unable to walk, the People magazine reporter leaned across the unconscious man to get a close-up photo. We knew if they used that photo, it would be the end. They didn't. At this point, we had 20,000 people playing every weekend that loved the game. A lesser man might have folded after I was on the Donahue Show representing the game in 1983. This was, for all you youngins, this was before Oprah. And after shooting the gun at a particle board on the air, Phil walked up and pushed his finger through the hole and said, "Oh my God, it went through the board." His audience thought this was a pretty sick game, but I thought his audience was straight out of a psych ward. My only response was, if it hurt that bad, 20,000 people a weekend wouldn't be playing. A lesser man would have folded under the weight of the lawsuits or at any point along the way when the wild seas ahead of us seemed more daunting than the ones we had already crossed. My stories and recaps of those early days are as accurate as I can remember. To share these with you today was the only way I could think of to say thank you and honor Bob, who was many things, but certainly not a lesser man. So thank you, Bob, for your tenacity, your stubbornness, your vision, your tireless pursuit of excellence for this game, your loyalty, and your humor. Thank you for the enormous price you paid emotionally, financially, and at a great cost to personal relationships and your health. You alone paid the high cost of launching this industry. I personally met my husband Ryan at a National Survival Game meeting in Philadelphia, and it was love at first sight. We've been a great team, and we have a wonderful daughter. We created the International Amateur Open and Industry Conferences, which ran for 16 years, and we still operate Three Rivers Paintball, a 32-year family business in Pittsburgh. In 2006, we were finally able to honor Bob with a Lifetime Achievement Award. So thank you, Bob, for making my life and all that has transpired possible. I am eternally grateful. And thank you, Lori, for taking such good care of this man in his later years, and thankfully he knew the great love of a great woman. We can only imagine your loss and your pain. I know I speak for the players, the field owners, the manufacturers, and the entire industry when I say thank you, Bob, for making our lives and our livelihood possible. We hope that you are finally in calmer waters with no more rough seas to battle, and we hope that you are already creating the next rendition of Paintball in the heavens that can only be played by those who already have earned their wings. You'll be missed and held in gratitude forever by many heavy hearts. Thank you.
Well, Wayne and I began playing paintball in the early 1980s at what was one of the original survival games here in Florida. It used to be up on 35th Street. Later became the Survival Zone. And we were there until approximately 20 years ago. And this will be our 20th year here at Wayne's World. But we've been doing this since the early 80s, almost since the beginning. And I can tell you what she says is true. We used to drive up a road, an access road, and the power poles were just covered with
enamel paint.
Enamel paint, then red, yellow,
used to carry a bottle of turpentine and rub it off your camo.
So it has evolved greatly over the years. Wayne started off as an artist, but when we moved here and we met the people that had the field, paintball became his passion. And so he and a few other people created the scenario game, and that was 20 years ago now, 25 years
More
ago.
than
They
that.
did the first, yeah,
1985 was the first scenario.
1985, so that's 30 years ago. We did the first scenario game, and he's been doing them ever since. And this is Wayne Dollick, so.
But without a man like Bob
Wayne.
and his vision of the future and the fun that is involved in this sport, he gave it not just to the United States, it's played worldwide. It's everywhere now. I think it's played in 87 different countries right now. And it's fabulous that he had that vision to keep pushing and prodding and poking until he got it where he wanted it to be. And like you said, up there, he's probably working on something right now. But he's a wonderful man. Him and I had many, many long talks together, and I truly will miss him. I truly will.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, I personally want to thank everyone for coming. I do believe he feels it. He's one of those people that always felt presence from others, and he greatly believed in that. My friendship with him was pretty amazing. What I can basically say is he became a mentor, a father figure, a teacher, so many things to me, a dedicated friend, And I didn't expect our friendship. We kind of developed a friendship through paintball, of course, but I was trying to interview him. And I tried for months and months to get him, and he refused. And I finally sent him a long message, that I didn't want to interview him about paintball, that I wanted to interview him about who he was as a man. And he responded. And after weeks and weeks of going through this interview, because anyone that knows Bob, he was meticulous, and he wanted his words to always be exact, and he wouldn't settle for less. So it was about 2 weeks of editing and phone calls and corrections, and finally I got his approval. And out came the interview, and in came a dedicated friendship, and I loved him so much. And I started paintball 20 years ago, right? Not on this field, but on Survival Zone.
Yeah.
And that was my first game. Got married, had my honeymoon here. So this 20 years means a lot for me too, and this field means a lot to me, and both of you mean a lot to me. But I just want to thank you all, through this time, and also for being here. It's very important, and I want to thank Bob and thank him for so much. I couldn't even start, I have something I want to say for Lori. Bob was very strong in the industry as far as his views on where it should be and how it should be. He really wanted paintball to get back to the roots of a family, and by that, it's like family-style industry. That means an industry that works together, not against each other or in greed. Paintball is not a war, it is a game. And we all need to come out of the game as friends, no matter how competitive, win or lose. The ultimate ending is to respect the friends you played and loved.
Thank you.
And that is what Bob wanted all the way to the end. And for that, I think that could happen if we could all put our minds in the same place. But with that, thank you, Lori.
Thank you all for being here.
Yeah, and we'll start with Mr. Paul Bolenbach.
All right, hello. My name is Paul Bolenbach, and I am honored to have the opportunity to thank Bob for starting in an industry that has had a fantastic impact on my life. I started playing paintball about 25 years ago, 1990, and the camaraderie, the friendship, the integrity, the pride, and the passion that I have gained through the experience of paintball has been life-changing for me. And 8 years after playing, I was fortunate enough to actually make my living in paintball. I have made my living in paintball for the last 17 to 18 years, and I thank Bob for creating an industry and giving me that opportunity, and I thank all of you for participating in paintball and helping me be successful, because obviously without players and everything, Deborah had mentioned 20,000 players a weekend back then. We're at millions of players now a weekend. That's fantastic.
Tens of millions worldwide.
Tens of millions worldwide, I mean, what a fantastic, and I'm proud to be a part of that. I mean, I can go into the story of how I played and where I've been and all of that stuff, but that's really irrelevant right now. Really just thank you to Bob, and to keep this going, and to keep the camaraderie going, and to keep the spirit of paintball going. Sincerely, I challenge everyone here who loves paintball, because that's why you're here. Bring out a friend, a colleague, a coworker, someone who's never played before. Give them an opportunity to experience the experience you experienced. I played once, I fell in love, and it's been my life 25 years since. So I challenge all of you to do that, and we together can spread that word and continue the growth of paintball and honor Bob in that way. Thank you.
Hi, my name is B. Youngs Paxson, and this is my 6-year-old daughter, and I blame paintball for having this child. She's amazing. She's basically my mini, and she's running around here trying to collect all the little paintballs. And I think yesterday we were at Orbital, and we put a little paintball out there, And she was collecting them and trying to sell them at 5 cents per ball, right?
That wasn't
friend.
me, that was somebody else.
She said it was somebody else. But I own Destiny Paintball. It's an all-female team that's basically been around since 2004. I'm married to a professional paintball player that plays for the Los Angeles Ironmen, and he is the GM down in Punta Gorda, Florida for TNT Paintball. So our lives are surrounded by everything paintball, and for me, I got introduced to it because of Todd and Tammy Adamson that started Extreme Range back in the day, and Tammy invited me to play on her all-female team. So there have been a lot of firsts that I have been thankful to be a part of since I started, and the love of my life I've met because of paintball, and my children are because of paintball, and everything that we do nowadays is all paintball stuff. So I give a lot of thanks to Bob for inventing this and being a part of that. And then seeing Deborah Dion here, who is a hero for me because of who she is in the industry. And so I try to follow basically most of what she was doing, because again, for me, I got to work for JTUSA. I was in PR too. I did some stuff for you at IAO, at International Amateur Open. I was a DJ at the Extreme Sports Tent, I think we called it. So just being involved with these people right here in this place is such an honor for me. And again, it's all because of Bob, you know. So thank you, Bob. I wish I could have seen him more and spent more time with him. He holds a very special place in my heart, because when I saw him back at, I think it was the 2007 World Cup, and he was talking about the Paintball Sports Manufacturing Association, I really wish that we can continue on that path and try to make that happen. A lot of what I'm seeing in the industry right now is somewhat heartbreaking because there are a lot of monopolies that are occurring. And I think without a manufacturing association, it might be really challenging to continue that growth that we all really hope for at the beginning of all of our careers in the sport. So with that said, I hope that we can continue on with Bob's legacy and that dream to try to create something like that so we can have longevity in the industry of paintball. That's basically all I wanted to share, and I wanted to pay my respects to a man that is responsible for what I'm experiencing even now. I've got to travel to Australia, to Portugal, to Europe, to play paintball and to represent paintball, and doing the all-female thing has been, it's been a lot of fun. So we're going to continue on that path, and I feel compelled to do that for the same reason that Bob was doing it, because it's something that we're all passionate about, and it's just something that brings us together. Like every day we have to live to do something. So a lot of us do paintball to be that stress relief, to be that something that we do day by day to get through this thing we call life. And it brings a lot of us together, and we've created a lot of amazing relationships and friendships because of it. So outside of it being a business thing, it's become a thing that we do because it helps us get through everyday life. So thanks to each and every one of you for being here. Thank you, Tina, for inviting me to come to this, and for reminding me that this was taking place today, because I was supposed to be at practice today, but I totally forgot. Being a mother of two, it's sometimes challenging to remember things, so I'm so glad that I was able to be here and see all these wonderful people. So thank you very much.
I'll try to get through this. I'm about the worst speaker there is. And after that moment of silence, everybody's choked up. I started paintball in '86. Back then, maybe a magazine is all we seen. Didn't know anything about Bob Gurnsey, didn't know who made what. But it was a sport that brought everybody together. Where in the world can you go, step on a field, and everybody accept you? There's not many hobbies, not many sports that you can go anywhere and just say, I play paintball. Somebody will offer you gear, somebody will help you fix something, somebody will give you a place to stay. It's an amazing sport, and we should thank Bob everywhere we go. Anytime you're on the field, you look at your gear, you look at your friends playing, you look at the other team that won. Just remember Bob.
Absolutely.
I'm here on behalf of First Strike Paintball, Pulpin Productions, and my team on guard. And it's just amazing what paintball has opened up for everybody that I've ever met. I've been in many countries, I've been in many states. And the camaraderie and just the livelihood of being able to live off of this sport, play off the sport, and enjoy the sport. It's amazing. You can play beside the industry giants, the professional paintballers, the kid that just came in with a brand new marker, or even the kid that doesn't have a marker and you give him yours so he can play. It's one hell of a sport. So everybody, when you're out there playing, just remember Bob. Thank you.
Alright guys, I've only been in paintball right about 10 years now. I've only met Bob Gurnsey once. It was last year's finale, if I'm not mistaken, or it might have been the year before. He was a very nice guy. I didn't get to sit down and talk to him a whole bunch. With the finale going on, I'm always busy. By the way, I'm Tito, everybody. Most of you locals know me. But in the sport, I've met so many friends and actual family now. Like Wayne and Jackie, Paul, and they're all actual friends now. I spend all the time I do basically around paintball. I buy stuff, rebuild it, stuff like that. I see a bunch of kids coming into the sport, like Gunner and, I can't remember your name. And it's constant, and I don't know
The
where I'd
number
be.
one Airsmith too.
I don't know where I would be without paintball. So this field and paintball itself is just amazing to me. All right, thank y'all.
Rick, you've been involved a long time, buddy. You've been involved a long time.
I've been in paintball since summer of '87. That's when I first played up in Maryland. A lot of these guys, some of these guys I talk to online all the time. I've never met them. I remember Miss Krisky when she was part of the IPPA back in their day. So I was a member. But coming out here and working, it's like me and B and Tommy were talking earlier. It says, where else can you go when you're a paintballer? You move to a different state, anywhere, and you're accepted right on the spot. So, thank you, Mr. Gurnsey.
That means a lot coming from a Marine. As you well know, I'm an old dinosaur, and Debbie can account for that. She knows how old I am. No, you don't. Been around a long time, done a lot of things. But this is my passion too. I've spent a lot of time in the sport, my God. At one time, my wife and I, we used to do 22 games a year around the country, and we did that for about 11 years. We were on the road all the time. And it is true. If you're a paintballer, you're accepted by everybody. You go to a field, hey, hi, how you doing? Where do you play? It's great. The camaraderie is phenomenal. I only wish we get back to one thing. When Bob and them started, they didn't have referees. You were hit, hey, I'm off the field. Now it's like, no, it's a sport. And keep it where it belongs. It is a family sport. I have seen so many ladies and gentlemen that have left for 4, 5, 6 years, and they come back and they got little ones with them. Well, when can he play? When can she play? And I said, they got to be 10 years old now. But because of Paul Bolenbeck and some of his ideas, they now have Splatmaster, which is 8 years old, which is really good. So now kids at 8 years old can get the feel of the sport, paintball, and they all want to do it so much. But it's downsized to them, it can't hurt them, they use pump guns. It's great. I mean, what a sport. Look where we've come from. To be in all these countries now around the world, where was it developed? By that woman's husband and 2 other gentlemen. They had the foresight to see what was going to happen. My God, it's come a long way. With that, Tracy, I'm turning it over to you.
I started my family in paintball roughly 14 years ago. And I started out taking them out for one reason. I had one son who had some medical issues, and he was very shy, backwards, introvert, did not get along with anyone. We thought he'd end up in jail. Paintball to me was a way to try to get him specifically involved in a way to get out there to overcome some of his issues. You know my son now, if you come to this field, Kitty Cat Matt.
Yep.
Matt. He is completely off medication. He is thriving, going to college, girlfriend, talking about marriage and kids.
Yeah.
It is amazing what paintball has done. And I don't know if Bob ever envisioned this, but the way the sport has helped many people with physical and mental challenges is phenomenal. You probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but if you've been out there playing, you've seen some of those. I started my kids out at California playing at Excessives Field, Extreme Paintball, and they were playing right along with, as someone mentioned, Rich Telford, Troll, Greg Hastings, all these big names. And to see them walk out with a bunch of kids who never played, to give them paint or a marker to here. You don't have the money, you can only rent three guns off from the field here. Well, you can play with mine. And to see how it has changed the lives of so many people, it is just amazing. Matt can't be here, he's at work right now, but he did post a picture that meant a lot to him. It was taken a couple years ago at a paintball event with Bob. This photo was taken December 4th, 2012 at Wayne's World, and it is my dedication to this awesome person, the man who helped create the sport that I love. May the angels sing praises of the lives that you've changed. I just wanted to share that.
We have a song, and I have to share a little story. Me and Lori experienced something last night. It's a little crazy, but we went through. She was going through because she wanted, of course, to find the perfect song, and the song is pretty perfect for its words, but the comedy behind it is Bob hated Michael Jackson. I mean, hated, despised, right? So we're going through, and she finds the song, and she thinks, okay. And she goes, oh, but it's Michael, you know, he hated him. So she plays it, and we're on YouTube, and we're on the laptop, and it's playing. And all of a sudden, here's the craziest part, okay? There's audio that comes through the video, and it's saying it's a woman, and she's telling her story about the Mayo and how she had breast cancer, and the Mayo saved her life and gave her the opportunity to go to her kids' events. The ironic part about that is that's where Bob spent. Bob was at the Mayo. They gave him the years that he had. That video, that audio was not a part of that video. It just appeared. And her and I went through it, and we played it again, and it was gone. It just appeared. And we thought that was absolutely, we were just in awe. We played it probably 10, 12 more times through the night to see if we could get that to come back, and it didn't. So we either made a joke of it and said he was either telling us, do not use that flipping song, or you have his blessing. We have his blessing. So we're going to use it because I think it's touching, but I had to tell you the story behind that because it's, like he believed in people reaching out to him, after death. So I believe it too, But with that, on that note, we will close it up and thank you all. Thank you, B. Thank you, Tommy. Thank everyone here. Thank you, Deb. Thank you, Paul. Everyone. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, everyone. It meant a lot. So thank you.
Thank you.